We are out from the field. Hmm? We were talking about common mistakes done by new drivers. You guys are new drivers. You are not yet there with the driver's license yet, but you're new drivers. And we made a lot of mistakes today. Hmm? Are we there? Okay. So, can you identify your faults on your own? Let me start. Let me start with you. Tell me your faults with your own words.
Actually, I discovered that when I'm changing the gear, my steering control, I lose concentration on the steering. So I think I need to focus more on steering control while changing the gear.
Okay. And
Yes, I think my issue is still the same with what he mentioned.
steering control
Yes, the steering control
and gear changing.
and gear changing. Yes.
Mr. Noza, do you know what was wrong with you today?
My steering
You are steering
control.
only.
No, and then with the gear changing,
And what again?
and then with the pedals.
I know some people have that difficulty in multitasking. That's doing several things at the same time. But normally, your gear changing should never affect your steering control. Because I believe if my steering is steady and I'm watching at the road, changing my gear, I shouldn't do this or this. Why changing the gear? It makes no sense. Why should this arm control this one? And then gear changing. We talked about how the gears are placed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, reverse. I don't know why, how can you leave from 1 to 2 and you find yourself in neutral or 4? Right? When you want to leave from 1 to 2, as you're leaving from 1, first of all, as you put your hand on the gear lever, you maintain it on your body. You give it the momentum it needs to stay here, because anytime you don't give it the momentum, when it gets to this point, it's spring-loaded. It automatically jumps back to neutral. It's spring-loaded. It goes there automatically. So for you to keep it from 1 to 2, you must maintain it and bring it straight down. If you want to go to 3, you don't need that pressure anymore. You just push it a little bit in front. When it gets to this point, it falls back to neutral, and then you move forward. That's 3. From 3, you need no pressure left or right. You bring it straight down, and you're back at 4. To go to 5, just push it forward. It falls back to neutral, spring-loaded. You give it the pull necessary to move it from this point to this point, and you move forward. And that's 5. But the basic one you need is 1 and 2. From 1, as you are in neutral, you give it the pull it needs and push it forward. That is 1. 2, maintain it, give it that same pull this way so that it stays on this in this straight line. You come this way and you come back. Back to 1, you do the same. You maintain it in this line. So is this diagram not easy enough to keep it in your head? You don't do this. You are looking where you're looking for what? It's straightforward. Straightforward. It's not nothing you should look. It should be in your, so when you go back, practice it. Steering control. When your steering is shaking, no matter how small, it's already affecting the wheels. It's controlled by an hydraulic pump. So any small move, if you don't feel it, the car has felt that steering. So when your steering is doing this, you find your car doing this on the road. Your steering should always be firm. You hold it firm. No, sir, you're holding the steering wheel like this. I don't know if it's spaghetti you're eating. Hold your steering. And it should be firm. Any light movement you give to it, it's already turning the wheel. It's hydraulic. So you don't think you need some extra force to do it. It's very soft. So always try to maintain. Your changes should be smooth, right? Very smooth. Because if you do a hard turn, that's how the car feels. You get that feeling of dancing left and right. So any changes you do, then your clutch now, the clutch is like a friend trying to call you, say, bro, come, let's move. The clutch is what gets the car going, not the accelerator. The accelerator simply increases the rotation or the speed, not so. But the clutch is what gets the car going. If you're seated and somebody comes and pulls you, yanks you out of your seat, you feel very funny, right? Good. So when you're using your clutch, that's exactly how you do it. You call the person gently, come, let's move. You take that person gently. That's how you do with your clutch. Your clutch from your biting point, you elevate it gently and smoothly. Anytime you rush it up, you will feel that shock effect, right? Good. So do we have any worries? Good. Back in my days when I was training, I would actually go home, pull a seat, take one of mama's plates, hold it, draw my clutch, my brakes, and my accelerator. I sleep. I sit there. I say, it was already in my head. You keep doing it over and over and over. It needs to become a second nature. You can drive without even talking to, you can be talking to 10 people and driving, and all your gestures are there. It's called multitasking. It's not an easy job, but it can be done, right? So keep it like a song in your head, and I promise you, by the end of this month, you'll be perfect. But for that, I will still encourage you, because from day one when we came here, we were totally blank, right? You can get the car going, not so. You have some mistakes we'll work on, but you have to work on it your own, because I can't keep repeating myself over and over. Are we there? Good.
The one thing I also noticed about myself is that the accelerator is actually soft.
Very.
But I'm not putting in my mind that it's soft.
The accelerator is one of the softest. But for a new driver, that's your nightmare. It's soft. The more you accelerate, the faster the car goes. That's what makes people get confused, thinking that it's the accelerator that gets the car going. It's the clutch. Once the clutch is down, that car will not go. Because when you clutch down, what happens? It disconnects the engine from the gearbox O, right? And then when you're lifting your leg up, it brings back the ball, right? So always note that point. The point where the marriage between the transmission or the gearbox they are coming back together with the engine to get the car moving. It's like a friend, as I said, if you yank somebody out of a sleep, that person feels uncomfortable. But if you take the time to pull that person to follow you, you see, it goes on smoothly. So that's how you manage. A good driver is the one with the best clutch management. That is it. Any question? I hope our lesson was taken. Good. So, not necessarily, but it's best to be used, because why we tell you to use the kinetic energy when going down, meaning that you clutch down and then you go for your brake to control the descent, right? Because it's part of your lesson. We must teach you, but you're not obliged to use it. You can go to gear 2 and you accelerate as minor as possible. It will still control the descent, but maybe a little bit faster. But we cannot be teaching you that when you can't use the kinetic energy. Are we there? So when you are at the hill, I always tell you, use the weight. When I say use the weight, it means what? Clutch down and your leg goes straight to the brakes, ready to use it if need be, right? If you don't need it, just get ready there. If you actually see there's no need, you are going back to your accelerator and your clutch is coming back up. Are we there? Beautiful. Just keep repeating it in your head. That's just it. Anything else? We'll get there. We'll talk about that again. Okay? So thank you very much. Keep practicing, and we meet in your next class. And I hope what we've done today has sunk in. Are we there? Eh? Noza, my boy, do better next class. Are we there? Good. Thank you very much. See you for our next class.